Okay, Jose, hopefully we can hear you this time. Can you hear us? What's going on, Jose?
Yes, can you hear me?
There we go. Awesome. Jose, how can we help you?
No, I was just wondering what caused you guys to lose your faith.
Great question. Simple and sweet. You want to start?
Yeah, I've given this answer in much greater detail on a number of other ACA programs. I'll just say that briefly for me, I was raised in an evangelical environment where it was made very clear that the Bible was absolutely perfect. And once I started to recognize that there were some logical inconsistencies within the Bible, maybe some like textual errors, and then ultimately that there was this pervasive notion that all queerness, that all LGBTQIA type issues were going to be rejected by Christ, I started to pull on that thread and I realized I just could not embrace a worldview that said all gay people were choosing to be gay and therefore choosing sin or rebelling against God. And so I figured if one piece of the Bible couldn't be true, then maybe the whole thing started to fall apart.
Yeah, for myself, it kind of depends on what you mean by losing your faith, because you can have faith in different ideas and even different institutions within Christianity. For example, you could be a Catholic and maybe lose your faith in the Catholic Church, but still believe in God, right? So like for myself, I grew up mostly in a Baptist/Methodist environment between my two parents, and I had various different kinds of doctrines given to me at any point in time. I was part of a college ministry. A lot of people who have seen my story know I once had a conversation when I was a Christian with Anthony Magnabosco that's still on YouTube for part of the History and Epistemology series. And while that conversation was also super helpful for me to deconstruct some of my ideas, I think what the big question, because I think some people have big questions and they figure out little questions later. One of the big ones for me was, what do I mean by this idea of faith? Like,
when you say God is life, what does that get to?
But also more so like, what makes me so sure in this Christian idea? And I can just say, yeah, this Muslim over here is totally wrong. Why do I get to have that privilege of saying, I know what truth is, and these people can't? Like, what's that difference? And figuring out, okay, well, what exactly do I believe? What does it mean to be a Christian? And figuring out what the Bible is, how it was constructed, as you mentioned, right? In what time periods, who were these authors? And then going even further to like the development of Christian culture and history and how it's changed over time. And you realize this thing has more man-made parts in it than anything else. And also realizing everything I know about God has come to me through human beings. God has yet to actually tell me himself anything.
It's all hearsay.
I've maybe gotten some feelings while praying, but beyond that, he's never talked to me. It's always been people, whether it's through books or through pastors or conversations. People have always been the intermediary there. And so I figured, well, if there is a God and he's out there and he wants to have that relationship with me, he can do that, because I've certainly tried. And until then, I'm just going to assume that this is all just made by people. So that's kind of a short version of my journey. But like Christy, I've talked about it more extensively elsewhere in other places. So you can definitely check that out. But hopefully that answers your question, Jose. Any follow-ups?
And no, that was pretty much it.
Okay. Short, sweet.
Fair enough. Yeah. Thanks for giving us a chance to talk about ourselves.
That's right. Yeah, Lord knows we love talking about ourselves, right? And I like using Lord knows on this show, because then people are going to mention that in the comments too.
Yeah. No, that's true. It is baiting folks a little bit. That is just kind of the unfortunate reality of the culture aspect of all of this.
That's the Texan in me coming out.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's kind of my point.
Yeah.
This is maybe something I kind of cribbed from Dr. Darrell Ray, who I know you know and admire. He talks a good deal about how, why is it that you happen to be a Christian when you were born into this majority Christian country?
Right.
And is it possible that if you were born somewhere else, that your common sense would lead you to some other kind of belief?
Exactly.
And I think that that's really evidenced in the fact that we still use phrases like Lord knows and some of these other things. Just the reality that we are from day one inundated with all of these ideas.